Welcome to William Steele, True Crime and Steele Spotlight TV. This is William Steele with Frank Lordi, my incredible co-host, man of faith and humor and resilience, author of Framed Innocence. Frank, thank you for coming back.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad that the Lord allowed me to be in your presence in your show.
This is your show too, Frank. So
I know
we had quite a few jokes before we came on the air, so that's why
I did.
we're in a good mood because you've been going through a lot, and I've been going through some stuff on this end. But you know what? God is good, and He allows us to make fun.
Enjoy our company.
I'm glad to see you smiling. That's for sure.
Yes,
Now
I'm him too.
let's if we roll into current affairs, politics, and crime, we might lose these little smirks on our face. But
Yeah.
we're basically good humored people who wish the best for everybody, and we tell these stories for hope of resolutions and for everybody getting along and crime prevention and to raise awareness. So, Frank, what do you have for us this week? I know you have some things on your plate. Trump,
Well,
they're trying to steal his property. What's going on?
yeah. But let's back up a little bit. Do you want to talk about Fani or Fanny?
Fannie Willis.
Yeah, she's a Fanny, all right. You know what? Let me ask you this question, Bill. When the judge gave him the order, part of the order was one of you have to go. Either she's got to step down or he has to be let go as the special prosecutor.
To clarify,
Yeah,
she's prosecuting Trump in Atlanta, which is Fulton County. She's the head prosecutor there, part of the Banana Republic, Democrat, weaponized justice system against Trump. And now she's in a world of stuff herself. So,
now let me tell you how I looked at that when he said she could resign or he can have him step down. I took that to mean that the judge must have thought they were both guilty. Because if she steps down, that's saying she's guilty. If he steps down, that's saying they're putting the blame on him. So it was either one of them. But I guess in his writings, the way he wrote that, he left the door open for Trump's lawyers to write a brief and can oppose that ruling. And that would be a great thing, if they're going to be able to appeal that decision, and it's going to allow them to the appeals court, look at the judge and what he had to say about both of them in discrediting them and them being truthful, and that she did not such a good job on the stand, and neither did he. They did a horrible job, to where they could make the decision to toss it out or to straighten it up and get a new prosecutor in there based on that the evidence that they're prejudiced against him. So it opens the door for them.
yep, they should have ordered the case moved outside of Fulton County, first of all. Second of all, how does the appeal court in that area generally sway? Republican or Democrat, or which way do they lean?
We have to check that out. I know the governor. Well, by the way, since we're on that subject, the governor's office, I believe, he started an investigation, and I don't know if it was through or in conjunction with the attorney general, has got an investigation going in on the government side on their own. So that's a good thing. If it's one or both, that don't matter. That's good. They're going to look into the improprieties, the number of times they went on vacation, how long she was out of the office. I mean, the monies involved.
But the governor of that state, you said, is a Republican, or
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And
he has the authority to remove her.
Yeah, I think he does. But they're going to do their own investigation, and he's going to let the attorney general look over that. And the attorney general was doing his own investigation, I guess, because I think he's the one that appointed her as the district attorney underneath him.
Well, Frank, I starred in A&E, Inmate to Roommate, where talks about people getting out of prison, going to move with strangers like I did. Maybe when she gets out of prison, you could have Fannie Willis as a roommate. get on my show, Inmate to Roommate, on A&E Network.
Oh, man, that was a good one, Bill.
That would be a ratings bonanza.
Did you see any of that hearing, Bill, yourself? Did you get a chance to look at
I
it?
saw it. She was so arrogant and
Oh,
condescending.
very,
No,
very
well,
arrogant. How about, was he sweating beads or what? He kept drinking so much water, I thought he was going to drown himself.
because he knew he got his law license, and this crazy lady put them all at risk of losing it. I mean, they lied under oath repeatedly, under oath, so that's crimes right there.
Yeah.
Plus, she gave $600,000 to a boyfriend who has no experience prosecuting anything
He's,
except for
I don't,
misdemeanors to
I don't,
prosecute the wealthiest, most powerful man in the world.
yeah. And I believe that, I believe he never even prosecuted a felony case.
No, he was misdemeanor guy. He was I think was he the dog catcher before that? I'm just kidding. But you don't know. You don't know about these people.
Boy,
You know,
it's just terrible, man. I tell you, that was
I hate to be crude on the show, but that's going to turn out to be the most expensive piece of such and such he's ever gotten.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Obviously, she was.
Well,
Somebody in my audience said obviously she was paying for it, so she must be desperate.
but even her girlfriend testified that she believes that. See, the issue was she in a romance before she hired him and after. Now, here's the interesting thing: the girlfriend testified under oath. By the way, they were lying under oath. Couldn't they be charged for lying?
Of course, perjury.
They want to charge some of Trump's people, and it's unfortunate. But she's testified that what do you call the let's just call it the pings, or where your cell phone is.
Yeah, cell location pinging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And like one of them was like it pinged that he was at her condo at 10 o'clock at night, and he left about 6 in the morning. And
Right.
she made a statement, or someone made a statement there on her behalf that wasn't reliable. And yet they had evidence of her prosecuting people based on pings and positions of people and locations, right? So, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? That's an old one.
I just couldn't believe the way she testified. She was rude to the judge. Any other judge, even judges that were interviewed on all networks, basically said if somebody on a stand talked to me the way she did, they'd be held in contempt and put in jail overnight until they start coming back with some respect to the court.
Yeah. He could have threw them both off, and he could have threw the case out. He could have done a lot of things, but at least he opened the door for Trump's team to appeal, because they got some things to appeal on. And I don't know how that legislature and the judicial branch in Fulton County is made up. All I know is that the governor was a conservative. I don't know about the attorney general. Maybe he was.
It's sad that we have to even be concerned what party they belong to. A crime is a crime is a crime, no matter what. I mean,
right.
They committed perjury. They lied about location of their phones, and their pinging from their phones shows them at the same location.
Yeah.
And we go over paperwork. Well, does she let all her male employees hang out at her house like overnight going over paperwork? That's a euphemism for going over something else, is really what that is.
And her girlfriend I was telling you about, she testified that the romance was well before that she hired him. And you know what she said on the stand, real cocky like? She's not my girlfriend anymore. Smart.
I look at this Fannie Willis. God bless her, and it's my opinion, but she looks like a man. So maybe it was a bromance and not a romance.
Oh boy.
I'm entitled to my opinion. These are not the opinions of YouTube.
Bill, I like to think in my mind and in my heart, there's not a racist bone in me. But I wouldn't doubt very much that should that judge had found them guilty and threw them both out and he's up for election, that they would have been yelling racism.
Of course, all they do. I mean, facts. You got caught in lies. Facts and evidence don't lie. People do. These are experienced prosecutors. At least she is, and she lied her ass off under oath.
Yes, she did.
And she lied about the location of the phones.
Yeah.
A prosecutor knows that phones are tracked. I know my phone's tracked.
How many people do you know that take 4,000 cash on vacation?
Back in the days, I would take a little more than that, actually. But that was ill-gotten gains, back in those days.
But if that's her boyfriend, and she's going to give him a job. And so he's got the job and he's got the money now to take her on vacation, right? Wouldn't that make sense? And I guess they went on some lavish vacations on that $600,000.
As soon as she gets sentenced to prison, you need to write her a letter, a fan letter, and say you got a contact with A&E Network and inmate to roommate, and you'd like to have her over as a house guest.
And I'd like to do an interview with you on true crime.
Right. Let me know before you do that. We'll take down all these so she can't see them.
Oh man,
She's gonna be like, "Aren't you the guy?" But that would make for an interesting season 4 or 5 or 7, depending on when she gets out of prison.
Yeah. Bill, did you see the the hearings that are going on in the House right now? Or about Hunter Biden. Did you see the interview one-on-one? I don't know how far back, with Tucker Carlson and Bobolinsky.
I probably saw it, but I forget the
Well, if you go on and you Google it, Tucker Carlson one-on-one interview, the whole hour of his show was the interview. He got permission from Fox, and he laid it all out. Well, when he came back on, but just before he went off the air, he asked, did they ever get in touch with you, the FBI and the security agencies? He says, not one of them. After his thing aired, he says, I'm just waiting for them to call me. See, because they know what was going on. You and I know that. It's unfortunate that Russia and all that stuff. So now do you know who Hakeem Jeffries is?
I've heard the name. It was a congressman, I think.
He took Nancy Pelosi's lead spot.
Oh boy.
Okay. And he comes out. Now they're in the hearings. 2 times I've seen him when they take breaks. See, the bad thing about those hearings that I don't like, that's why Hunter Biden's turning down the public hearing. Why they wanted the private hearing first, mainly because they're recorded. And he couldn't go on the public ones and lie, because then they got him. But what's bad about the private ones, even though recorded, they got the committees and they go Democrat, Republican, and they only get 5 minutes, and then they switch to another guy. So you really can't get into the meat and potatoes in 5 minutes,
right?
The issues you want. So that breaks it up. So now he doesn't want to come in. Now, shouldn't they subpoena him to come? They just sent one of Trump's guys, going to send him to jail because he didn't answer a subpoena. He said he had executive privilege because he was one of Trump's confidential guys about security issues and stuff like that.
Right.
They subpoenaed him, and he said, I thought I had immunity. They're going to send him to jail because he didn't answer the subpoena.
It's like the January 6th nonsense that was stoked, allegedly by operatives, and yet they lied and said Trump, the tweets that were released by Elon Musk when he took over Twitter, he clearly said peaceful protest.
That's right.
He clearly called on his staff and everybody a meeting to call in the National Guard for peaceful protest to contain the size crowds. He didn't call for any craziness like whatever individuals took upon themselves, to protest. I mean, it's pathetic because some of these people have 20-something year prison sentences for this incident.
That's right. Now, let me tell you something. Do you know what happened to all the documentation of those hearings on January 6th?
No, what happened?
They got D6'd. They destroyed them. It's a shame. They're going to get him, and they got proof of what he said, just like what you just mentioned. And it's a shame that they had to go that route. And they had 2 or 3 people testify that Trump told them, you better get some help down there in case something happens.
Right.
And Pelosi is over the Capitol Police. She refused to move on that. The Capitol Police were calling for help to have backup and more down there. They wanted something to happen, Bill.
Yeah.
Right? Let's face it. They make it, and they're still talking about it. I don't think the public really cares anything about January 6th, but they do care about open borders, don't they? They do care about the economy. They do care about inflation. And that clown, our president, is running around saying the border's closed. Inflation is down. The the economy's good. It's all lies. I mean,
You know what they need to do? He's going to give himself what he can pardon him and his son, his confidants, or whatever, all these criminals that surround him, pardons before he leaves office. But what'll happen is when Trump comes in, they should have Biden picked up and deported to Mexico, and then Trump should close the border and not let him back in.
That's a good one. But,
he's been terrorizing the country. He's been supporting terrorists all along. So put Biden on a terrorist watch list and let him languish in Mexico forever.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing.
And now they're trying to take Trump's property in New York with this other case. Another Banana Republic prosecutors, a bunch of corrupt Democrats that are like so blatantly corrupt. It's incredible that it's like nobody's checking them. Well, this governor, attorney general, who's a Democrat, the governor, the attorney general, who's going to hold these people accountable?
That's right.
Nobody. They're just corrupt straight to the top.
Yeah, that's right.
They want to take his property today. They're moving right now. I just saw an alert. The attorney general is today moving to seize his property. Frank, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I lost you.
All right. Turn your picture back on.
How do I do that?
By putting it back on.
No.
So the prosecutors in New York, they're so corrupt. The judge is trying to take the property today. I just got an alert on the phone saying the attorney general is moving to seize Trump's property today. One of Trump's attorneys is my friend, Peter Tickton, and he's the attorney you want between you and your problems. But anyway, Peter is working with this female attorney, and she was on Fox today saying that they're in the appeal court trying to modify that $400-something million because nobody will insure him for over $100 million. Nobody will do it for anybody, not just Trump. Not because he's not credible, but because they're not allowed to. So they put an unreasonable request on him. So it's a manifest injustice, and so they're approaching the appeals court with that argument. Meanwhile,
well, let me tell you what I heard, Bill. That when she started this today, they said that opened the door for him to file an appeal with the federal court. Now my head's above the line.
And your book is way outside the frame. You have to get the I from Innocence in the frame. You have to twist your camera or move your book. One of the two has to happen here. Stop right there. No, now tilt it up. There you go. You can tilt it more to bring your head in. More.
How's that, Bill? Bill, how's that? Is that good?
You're crooked, but then again, you're a former commissioner, so that's a given.
Oh, that's a stab in the heart.
You ready? Let's go. Let's roll. Oh my God! Stop moving it.
Okay.
You know had it perfect.
I forgot to didn't do.
What do you do now?
See if you notice the difference. Ready?
You're killing me, Frank.
Ready?
What? Oh, you put your suntan on. Yes, leave it on. You ready?
That's the light. I didn't have it on all that time.
That's all right. The light of God is in your heart. That's more important. What was that? Look at a glare on your nose. It looks like you dipped your head in some cocaine or something there. What is that? You ready?
I'm ready. Can you see everything now? Everything in light? The book? You want me to go anyway?
So I don't know what's going to happen with the appeal or the situation in New York. I just know this judge is ridiculous, and he's just pandering. He's a Democrat operative, and he's pandering for the Democrats.
You know, I happened to get to watch Mark Levin last week. He laid out all 91 accounts and how they railroaded him and how many violations through the Constitution. Just ignorant. I mean, how could you be campaigning saying she is so prejudiced against him? I mean, that should mean for something that she was campaigning. They got her on video just like they got Fanny in the church, crying foul. It's amazing. But this, what's her name? Letitia?
Yeah.
She's, she made the move today that allowed Trump's lawyers to make a move to file in federal court to get them to back off. He even honest. He was even honest and said he can come up with $100 million a bond. Would they get rid of the bond altogether, or because it was in violation of the Eighth Amendment, or get her out of there, or take his $100 million he'd put up as a bond. He said,
they'd rather get 450 million.
But they don't deserve it.
No, the lawyers are saying they don't give a crap, the Democrats, about how many people are about to put out of work and all these properties being sold at a fire sale. Trump can never recover that if he wins on appeal, which he will. So.
Yep. They just want to keep him off the campaign trail, I guess.
Like I said, he gets back in office, which is a guaranteed at this point. He needs to just take citizenship from Biden and these prosecutors, ship them off to Mexico, and then put them on a terrorist watch list.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like it.
But you know what? They're going to be better prepared this time, Bill, because Trump's daughter-in-law got appointed as an assistant of the GOP national chairman part and their party, and they said they're going to cover the ballot harvesting, and they're going to have enough attorneys to make sure everything's on the up and up this time, and they're starting as we speak.
Good. What are they doing about this border? This crazy,
What border? The border here. Haven't you heard from Hakeem Jeffries? The border's secure. They lie right through their teeth. I think it's the number one issue because you know why, Bill? We don't know who's in our country. The FBI just came on a few days ago to say how many known terrorists they have on a watch list that are in our country. Now, things are going to happen. More people are going to get killed. Unfortunately, maybe some young women are going to get raped. Did you hear about the mentally retarded young girl that got raped?
No, I think they politically correct is a different term. Down syndrome or something. Yeah, they get offended by that. So, we're very sensitive to the way certain things are said with this political correctness. So what happened, Frank? So she was coming in across the border?
No, I think she was here. It was an immigrant. Happened before they got across or after. He did it on this side of the border, on our side.
Yeah, they're coming in, breaking into houses, killing people in the houses, stealing cars, getting on the road, drunk driving, killing 3 people on the way to church. I mean, Democrats don't seem to care one bit. They don't give. It's just unbelievable that they're just going to stand back and watch the country fall into a third world banana republic poverty.
I just thought about something that was on our news too, not to do with politics, but you mean we don't have laws in this country, in 50 states in our country, that people can't have squatters' rights just to go walk into people's homes when they're not at home or on vacation and take over their house. And the cops are coming out saying they can't arrest them. I don't get this. Something ain't right. Can you see me?
I'm looking at that white spot on your nose. What have you been doing?
I got powder on there. Is it powder?
Can you see it? We know that's not what it is, but the glare looks like you have some white powder on your nose, Frank.
Well, I was eating some cake and some white icing.
Okay.
Not really. No, I wasn't. It's just the glare. Let me see if you could still see it. You ready? Can you still see it?
No.
It's because I licked it with my tongue.
No, it's funny because when you put the tanning light on you,
I'll leave the light off. That's all.
No, leave it on. I want to see you tan with your tan. There you go. You just have to come backwards and forwards until it's gone. Like, I don't know where the sweet spot is. They're right there. If you come too close, it's on. You come back, looks like you licked it off.
Oh boy.
All right. What's the next topic here on our show? So how's your book sales going? We're going to try to get you booked on more shows. Shout out to Adrian and Wade, Hollywood Wade. give Frank a call. If you want him on your show, give me a call. You can reach Frank directly through me or directly through his Facebook and various outlets, and through his website, framesinnnocence.com.
Yeah.
And so he's looking to get on shows. He had a situation like what happened with what's going on with Trump. He was a politician,
Yep.
ran on an anti-corruption platform, and his political adversaries, who he destroyed.
It's funny, Bill, that because I helped some women out with their groceries at Rulli Brothers. The son and the father, they each have a store, and Michael Rulli just ran for Congress. He was a state senator in Ohio, and the guy got on there that's running against him, who was a business guy who had some money behind him, and he's putting a commercial on that Mike's a rhino. Well, Mike's no rhino, and it's a shame that you can say things about your opponent that, and it got him so upset. He said, I'm going to have to file a lawsuit. And a buddy has told him to do this, and he should have did this. He should have called a press conference, bring up to the press, because they would have came to him, because he's well known as a state senator and he's running for Congress. They would have had 3 TV networks and probably 2 or 3 radio shows picking him up, saying what one of his opponents said against him, that's putting out there in his commercials against Mike. Now, it just turned out the election Tuesday that Mike won again. Won, but we had to vote for him twice because Bill Johnson was the congressman in that district, and he accepted the job at Youngstown State University as the president. And of course, the professors and the union were against him because he didn't have a lot of academic in his background. And the previous president did more in raising money, and he'll do the same thing. The previous president, the media, and those same different groups gave him a rough time. His name was Jim Tressel, the coach of Ohio State University football team. He won 3 national titles when he was the head coach at Youngstown State University, and he went on to OSU fame. And then when he came back here, they tried to block him.
Hey, hold on 1 second, Frank. What happened? Sorry about that, Frank. I thought somebody fell over here, so I had to run and check on him.
That's
okay. So 54. We're back on at 54. So go ahead, finish the story.
So Jim Tressel, the former coach of Ohio State University, was a previous coach at Youngstown State University. Now, they hired him when he left Ohio State, and he got a lot of flack about them hiring him, that he didn't have the credentials to be president. But the president's main job is really to raise money. They got the academia, and they got all the people around him that carry out a lot of things. But he's a great guy, well-liked, well-loved. And they gave him, well, not as Bill Johnson applied for the job. He was a congressman. So his seat became open when they hired him, and he took the job. They gave him time, too. He's going to do a good job. So we had to vote twice, one to fill the unexpired term for Congress, and then one to run in the primary for that seat. So I got to vote for Mike twice, Mike Rulli. Okay. And won against the guy that was throwing some negative ads at him. And I said he should have called a press conference and exposed it. He would have got a lot of national attention, because a lot of people believe that stuff, what they see on commercials.
I've got a question for you in general about voting. So everybody knows I served 18 years for nonviolent crime. Now, were you, before you got your expungement, were you allowed to vote in local or presidential elections?
In Ohio, yes. I thought before I voted for the first time that I couldn't and wouldn't be able to, but I was able to do that. All I do is present my identification. And the last couple of times in the primary, you could choose, what race you want to vote in.
So I would think the presidential elections is governed by federal law. So is there federal law preventing a convicted felon from voting? If anybody knows, leave a comment in here about this. I'd appreciate some
Well, I can
comments.
tell you about my federal or my state conviction. It's nowhere to be found. It's
Oh,
like it,
of course, yeah.
you know.
It's been
So
expunged. You've been blessed.
yeah, but I've been voting, in the primary and the general election, Bill, before I got that expungement.
Yeah,
So
a few people advised me that I can vote in the presidential election. I know I can run for president, and I told you I announced that I'm running in 2028. I didn't want to run now because I don't want to go against Trump. But see, with me, you know what you're getting yourself into. These people start off squeaky clean, and then you learn later on they're crooks.
reverse.
I'm a crook from the rip, right from the jump. And so, am I a reform crick? Well, that's for you to find out, right? No, I am. So I'm doing my best here to live a normal life. And I have a lot of experience about these issues and especially the crime and punishment and all that. And I have a lot to say. So I've actually was started off probably as a Democrat. And then as I had my eyes open to what they're really all about, I said, heck no. And I became a Republican. So,
Yeah.
uh,
God is good.
48. Listen, Frank, we have got to do a show just on like comedy. But I do know one thing: you have a few things you're working on to resolve, and
Yeah.
so for our audience, Frank and I have agreed to go on not only a speaking tour but a book signing tour. As soon
Yeah.
as he gets some matters in his life wrapped up, I'm ready to roll at any time. Ignacio and I are discussing some of the same things. We're going
Okay.
to be doing these shows and my shows, especially with him, on a network called QE, Question Everything. So these shows are going to be rolling out on there. This show is also to be found on Steeler Spotlight Television. It's like a Midwest cable show.
Okay.
So my social media numbers are decent, not gigantic, but I have two TV shows, and my two TV shows have millions and millions of viewers. So
Really?
if we find a way to better monetize this or sell more books, that'll be a blessing.
Yeah.
As you know, it's not easy. Fans can say they love you all day long, but until they go to the description and check out your book links, you know,
Yeah.
everything's appreciated. The words of encouragement
Oh,
appreciated. But
uh,
check out the links in the description. I'm
okay.
just saying.
Always give your disclaimer for you and me, you and I and you and me, that our comments on your show are strictly our personal opinions, right? Isn't
No,
that how?
they're fact. They're fact. They're fact. And they're always fact.
Well, they're true. They're true
Yeah,
facts.
there are opinions, and we're commenting on stuff that's in the news
Yeah,
anyway, and we're giving our opinions from our life experience. They're not the opinion of YouTube or the woke
there,
generation.
there
Definitely
you go.
not them. So, go
Just make,
woke, go broke. They
yeah,
all learn the hard way when they embrace that. They lose their business. They're like, "What just happened?" Well, you can't say you want to get along with everybody. Everybody should play fair with you while treating a whole gigantic half a segment of society so crappy. And that's what they do. So
there was just something on the news. You're gonna have to check it out about social media. About somebody let it out how they're using social media, that they got messages or calls or whatever from the White House to take people off because they didn't like their comments, and they did it. And now the Supreme Court has made is looking at this.
yeah, they the White House under the Democrats and all that, and they constantly interfering with social media, and
Yeah.
even the intelligence agencies would give fake information to Facebook, and they went with it and removed all. They amplified these liberal voices that were like meaningless and
Uh-huh.
so corrosive to our society, and yet conservative voices where it's all about helping each other and
Right.
helping somebody to find the right path and get their education or give them a hand up but not a handout. Oh,
Yeah.
those voices had to be suppressed. They want to keep the Democrats want to keep society on his dole mentality. What can the government give me?
I
Life's not
just
about what it can give you. It's about what can you do for yourself and for your fellow man.
right.
You
That's
know,
right. I just remembered who just made the comment recently on TV. I believe it was yesterday, who made that assertion about social media. RFK. See, they
oh,
want to get him off the ballot. Bill, framed innocence. I know that guy. Who is he? Oh, it's you, Bill.
that's
I
Frank's book. That's Frank's book. If I can get it to focus here,
Yeah, there's something.
There you go. So that's Frank's book, Framed Innocence, My Fight for Justice. He had the justice system weaponized against him.
That's
And
right.
you can see his books, my books in the description. I have actually where I could throw it up on the screen.
There you go. Oh,
Frank
that's
Lordi. And my other co-host, Ignacio, we're probably going to do a show with him this week, whenever you can make time. He's ready for whenever possible. And then so we're going to be doing a show together on QE Network. And Ignacio is going to be the new voice of Gangster Chronicles, Gangland Chronicles on History Channel. And he's now represented by Transmedia. You know, you met Tom before, but so Transmedia just put out a few press releases mentioning me and him and this show that he's my co-host. And then this is my first book that I wrote when I was incarcerated. If you look up on that gold bar, it was covered by Nancy Grace on her podcast. So
really?
I write true crime, inspirational. This is really a victim advocacy book exposing him for what he was, the wealthiest serial killer in American history. And this is my book about Ghislaine Maxwell, who's in federal prison doing 20 years right now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an expose. And what else do I have here, Frank? Destinies. We got Mafia Monday. So if you guys like your true crime and your true stories about the criminal justice system, Frank's got a fascinating book. Ignacio has several. Check them out. Samantha Markle had one, and she's hopefully going to put out another. It's Meghan Markle's sister, and she's another occasional co-host. So
yeah,
we're going to wrap this up. We're going a little bit long on this show.
Okay.
We don't want to piss the advertisers off. I heard there's a realtor in Ohio that one day is going to advertise on my show. So hopefully we can land this one.
They're going to Florida, by the way. They're going to be down for a week and a half, I think, or two.
What part?
I think Orlando.
Okay, yeah, that's a good place for the kids. I know there's probably kids.
Location you want to go into?
Used to be back in the day. Remember in the 70s, they had that ticket book, that e-ticket. Early in the morning, the park is circular. If you go to the right, you're going to be bogged down and on long lines. The key to getting through all the rides quickly.
Really?
Because the massive crowds automatically, for some reason, gravitate to the right.
Huh.
So if you go left, the place will be clear for you almost all the way through.
Well, if I remember, when you go right, when you went in, you go to